Welcome to Let's Talk Under the Tree. We have Miss Barron under the tree today. Where we at, Smalls? Tell her where we at, man. Go ahead.
We talking under the tree.
I don't think she can hear you. She need a little ice water. Where we at?
We talking under the tree.
I'm Mr. Palmer, Miss Barron, University of South Carolina grad, and she's running for office in District 7. T. Smalls, who is she? How is she related to you? Just tell the truth, because today you told a little white lie. So go ahead and tell the truth.
This is my stepmother, the Mrs. Gretchen Barron the Great.
Yeah. Miss Barron, I heard a lot about you. I guess it's 7 days in a week, so at least 6 of them. There's 365 days in the year, so at least 364 of them that, Mr. Smalls was telling me about you, your success and your aspirations, that, things you're trying to do. So in politics, what gave you the drive? I knew you were South Carolina graduate, University of South Carolina grad in Columbia, and off the air, I said, you have the aura of a Gamecock. So tell us, what made you, get into politics and what gave you the drive? What, was your vision, since you was a little girl up until now?
Well, I tell you, the politics was never a part of the game, never a part of the plan. But as a child, I always wanted to be an attorney. And when I went to USC, that was my goal. That was my drive. I wanted to be an attorney. Had a great experience with one of my professors, and I started working with youth and children, and realized in that moment that perhaps law wasn't for me, but working with children in education. And from there, just working with disadvantaged population of people, volunteering in the community, I became that advocate, that voice for individuals who did not have a voice. And of recent, in the last probably 2 to 3 years, lots of things just kept coming up in our community, and we did not have someone who was representing our district or bringing us the information, that of a true councilwoman. And I was just complaining. My husband said, you know what? You need to do something about it or be quiet, because I'm tired of hearing about it. And so I decided that I would run for county council. And it was exciting to start out with, really exciting to start out with. And then COVID-19 happened, and it put a screeching halt on how we did business. And we had to rethink things. But we came out victorious last Tuesday. And I'm excited about where we're going.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. You're a South Carolina native, so nobody wants a councilwoman who can't cook. I'm just going to be straight up. I mean, hey, I thought about asking you that all day. Can you sling the pots behind all this beauty and, and things like that and all these politics? Can you cook?
Absolutely. Matter of fact, I cooked tonight. I cooked tonight before we came. I'm a grill master. Okay. I love the grill. So I purchased a pork loin, and I wrapped it up in bacon. Wow. And put that thing on the grill and just let it cook nice and slow. We had some broccoli with cheese, because I'm trying to still force my boys to eat vegetables. So you put a little cheese on it, they'll eat it. And some steamed squash with some onions. I can cook. My husband will tell you. He said, well, I met you when you was like 22, 23. Okay. And you only thing you could cook was sausage dogs. But I was just getting out of college. I wasn't trying to cook for nobody but me. Right. So I'll give him a shameless shout out for he let me practice on him, and then he taught me a few things too. Okay. I'm a good Southern girl, right. But I spent a lot of time in the kitchen with my grandmother and my great grandmother and even my mother. But I was always a scholar. I was either a scholar or, I played basketball. And so I did not have like that, okay, you need 3 eggs and a cup of sugar and all that. I didn't get that until later on, after I had graduated college. It was like, I got this man. And he wants Southern food, but he wants Southern food. See, he's from the Low Country. And you know how y'all
right. Oh, yeah.
We stir rice.
Yeah, we Low Country.
We stir rice in Spartanburg, but down in the low country, you let it simmer and boil down, right? Then
Right.
put the top on it and let it cook. Cook it.
You got it.
You
What?
got it to the
I was
T.
like, who has time to cook rice for 45 minutes? But I learned that. So yeah, I can cook. I got two boys.
There you go.
They big boys. So
Oh
I
yeah.
have between my husband now. Now my husband now he can cook anything, and
Definitely.
everything is good. So
That's
when
good.
he's not cooking, I'm cooking, and we share the responsibility. But I enjoy family time, especially just eating when Tori and his family come visit. The first thing we eating, and we all eating together. That's just
Right.
that's
Right.
the sentiment
Right.
of family, is to be able to break bread together, especially
Right.
if food's
Yeah.
good.
Most folks in South Carolina, I'm a South Carolina native, but I've been going 33 years. They're tired of boring politics in the state of South Carolina. I don't live there, but I'm still, very well connected. Do you think that the state of South Carolina need to change, besides the same old boring politics? You say you're going to do this, 4 years, same thing, same
Mhm.
garbage can right out there for the garbage man to take. 4 years later, same garbage can. So, do you think the state of South Carolina need to change?
Well, I'll even speak to specific to Richland County. In Richland County, I'll tell you how much we want to change in Richland County. We had 5 seats that were up for reelection.
Hmm.
Of the 5 seats, 4 of them were in a runoff
Hmm.
against an incumbent.
Wow.
This ain't business as usual. And what that said was that we had people to stand in line during the primaries because we had some mayhem because of COVID-19, and the election commission wasn't properly prepared. And people stood in line at 11:45 at night.
Wow.
Are they ready for change?
Oh
Yes,
yeah.
they
Yeah.
are
They,
ready for change,
if
and
they
they're
staying
willing to
that
wait
late,
on
yeah, they
it.
yep. Yep.
Yes.
They will wait on it, and they are, and the change is so prevalent until that. We had the runoff last Tuesday, and I'm already getting phone calls like, Gretchen, what when we getting started? Now I don't have an opponent in November, so it's we
Mm.
still have to wait things out. But what people are saying is, we voted for you. You said this is what you're going to do. Let's go to work. And so literally, I already started working because
Good.
people said they showed up and said that they wanted change. And when they showed up by saying, you know what, we're gonna run the numbers up on the new kids on the block, because the incumbents have already shown what they can or cannot do. And Richland County is no longer that county that says, well, we're gonna go for status quo, but we're gonna hold people accountable.
Right.
I heard
Speaking
that.
speaking of the COVID-19, do you think the state of South Carolina was behind the eight ball? Because from what I was watching in social media, South Carolina, closed down, the last minute, and they were like stalling, with the response. And it appears to me that it was a bigger picture than that. How do you feel about that?
It's unfortunate when politics gets involved in everything. Um, and I think that politics did get involved with the closing down and the
Hmm.
shelter in place order. It was so involved that it was never called the shelter in place, but it was just just stay at home kind of thing. We didn't use the terminology that a lot of the other states were using. So I do think that South Carolina was slow about making some adjustments, but I will say that there were some cities and some towns and municipalities that said that we're not going to wait for the state. We're going to make our own decisions. And I've been saying it the whole time. Shout out to my friend Mayor Steve Benjamin,
Hmm.
a city of Columbia. They put a shelter in place for the city of Columbia straight out the rip. They had funds made available to their small minority businesses. They were the first to put to mask up, to require masks. So as a state, we were a little slow, but there were some pockets of pride that that said, you know what, we might not be going together as a state, but but there are entities that were really pushing forward and saying we're going to do what we need to do to keep people safe.
Have it ever crossed your mind to make a presidential run, 2028,
Whoa.
2024, or vice president run, or governor?
Wow.
Okay, so most people have only said to me, you can go to the state house. And nobody asked me about president. And so this is my response to them when they tell me about the state house. I tell them, I say, let me just marinate in this sauce right here.
Right.
This sauce right here is in Richland County.
Yep.
I ain't even been sworn in yet.
Yeah. Let's take it one thing at a time.
I have tunnel vision, and I am fixed on being the best Richland County Councilwoman that I can be. And so I'm a big Biden fan. I can't wait to see what sister he pulls. And I'll say sister, because I'm hoping that's what he's going to do. But other than that, that's all I think about the president, is that to get him in office so that it can be some major changes in come February.
But he can pull you. He can pull you because it has been proven no one needs experience.
Oh yeah.
I'm just calling a spade a spade. It is what it is. I'm not picking on anybody, but it's the truth. It's the truth.
Experience is not needed.
It's definitely not needed, because the truth of the matter is I am just a political volunteer. I have never ran for office before. So I spent a lot of time studying people that I thought were good politicians and learning the process and learning what our county does and does not do. So you're right. It does not take it doesn't take any prerequisite of skill set at all. We see that daily. And and that is a rule of thumb that we probably should not. That's a model that we probably shouldn't follow from this day on.
Yeah. I got a question.
Nowhere.
I got a question for you. At any point in this process, man, was it overwhelming for you, man, starting the process all the way till now? And, now you're seeing the success and the fruits of your labor. Was it ever overwhelming when you started out, in the process?
It was, because anybody who knows me, and you know this, Tori, better than anybody, I love being a wife and a mother.
Right.
And I have to be present.
Mm-hmm.
And I was losing at it because I announced quite early. So I announced in November. And I did that because I knew I was running against an incumbent, and I wanted to have time to get my name out there. But my boys are they're busy. With the company, our company had a major growth this past school year. And I was like, this is too much. I am overwhelmed. There are many days I was just like, what have you done? Are you sure you want to do this? Then that little thing called COVID-19. I had my team, we had a plan in place, solid. What we were going to do, we're going to go out and knock on doors, and we're going to have a fish fry. We're going to do this. And COVID-19 says, no. You're going to do exactly what you're doing right now.
Just rearrange everything,
in-home studio and come up with a new plan. And that was stressful because I couldn't Google it. I couldn't go and troll somebody else's website or their Facebook page to see what they were doing. Everybody was running for office. Just all of a sudden there was crickets. So that was overwhelming. But when I made up my mind, you know what? I'm in it. Let's figure out how to do it. Because I'm one of those people that just thrives on tenacity, and there's got to be more. It's got to be better. And so let's figure it out. You can trip for 30 seconds. And after you trip for 30 seconds, you need to dust yourself off, get yourself together, and figure out, okay, what do I need to do?
Right.
And that's and in those moments of being overwhelmed, that's exactly what I did. Have a good group of people that had my back the whole time and was like, girl, go get them. You got it. And I mean, you don't know. You send me those text messages, those inbox, be like, you got this, G. And I'm like, thank you. I needed that today.
Yes, with success, sometimes comes adversity. And I'm sure you have the jealous crowd, the player haters, and maybe some backstabbers. How do you handle all that? Because it happens with success. How do you handle that?
Well, you know, my pastor says it that with every level, there's a new devil. You know, if you're not persecuted or if you don't have any haters, then you're not doing anything. And so I have just kind of embraced that, whether it was from starting our company to, just the smallest things, being
Hmm.
appointed to different committees, all those things.
Mhm.
I've had that, and I've learned. I said, you know what? It was a good experience for me to be where I am. I don't spend a lot of time dwelling on what people say, because if
Right.
it's not true, I don't need to. It doesn't warrant a response.
Mhm.
Um, and everything will play out at some point. And so there's too much work to be done for me to be sweating, the haters or people who, the naysayers persecuting me, because I believe if they would take that same energy and join me in making District 7 a better place, they wouldn't have time to have that conversation. And the truth of the matter is, most people misjudge me just because I'm dressed up. And I
Right.
told them, I said, this is a part of this comes with the territory. If I showed up in jeans and a sneakers, you wouldn't respect me.
Right.
Right.
Right. You
So
got.
I'm just coming prepared to work.
Mhm.
And so once we get over the initial, I think I'll call it shock. Once we get over
Mhm.
the initial hump, most people will say, "Okay, I was wrong," or
Mhm.
I can't remember a time where there was an individual that had malice or wanted to be, started out as a hater, and then and it blown up to something big, because I don't have time to deal with that. I
Right.
don't even
Yeah.
I don't even put it in the spotlight.
Good.
Right.
Tell me a little bit about the Barron Academy. I read your bio and I was very impressed that was it like a school, daycare type
It,
thing?
it is an education company,
Hmm.
and with the education company, we focus on after school summer camps and private tutoring. So we provide after school. Most people are more familiar with like a Boys and Girls Club, a YMCA, those types of programs. Where our after school model is very similar. The only difference is that we focus on academics and leadership skills. So everything that we do is infused in academic and leadership, and our programs are housed right there in the schools, some in community centers. And we pride ourselves in working with families who attend high poverty, low performing schools. So it's those families that most people have tossed to the side. We give them that high quality after school summer camp experience as as those of privilege. And we
Mhm.
don't water down what we do because of our location. We challenge our families to come up to the level of where they aspire to be. And it is, that's the one thing I miss the most right now in COVID, is because I can't see my students. I can't interact with my staff. Um, and I'm often concerned about their academic well-being as well as their personal well-being. And but it is my happy place.
Yeah.
It is my happy place to be able to know that we're impacting so many children's lives and even their families' lives over the last several years.
Definitely. Definitely.
I think the generations change every 10 to 15 years. Speaking on that, I'm gonna piggyback on your Barron Academy. Do you think the mothers say, I'm sure you see mothers around 20 years old, and the kids that you're around, are they different now compared to your era? Because that era, they get a lot of flack, that they don't care, and most of them are their parents' friends,
Mhm.
you know. So do you have to counsel some of these young ladies or fathers that it's going to be okay, and guide them in a positive way that they can do it when they look at you?
Yeah, and we spend a lot of time talking to our families. And it's just as many men caring for their children as the primary caregiver as there are women. And I give a big shout out to them, because a lot of times dads get a bad rep for not being there, especially our African American males. And it's a lot of them. I mean, I could just rattle off about 15 off the top of my head who are taking care of their children.
Right.
And yeah, the parents are younger. They are younger, but this is what I know about the parents that are younger. Ultimately, they want the best for their child. At the end of the day, that's what they want. Now, their presentation sometimes leaves a lot to be desired. And so we have conversations sometimes, especially around tuition, and why you calling my phone? I'm calling your phone, sweetie, because we have a financial issue we need to discuss. and
Right.
and, and, and well, how you get, and so it's one of those things. I don't go tit for tat for them, but what
Hmm.
I do is I explain to them there's a level of professionalism that I will maintain, and I think that they should maintain. And we have these conversations, and sometimes people there you can't fault people for growing in the soil that they were planted.
Right.
And so for what we see sometimes is that there are generations of families that have been living in the same housing complex or in the same neighborhood. So this is all they know. And so then they meet someone like me and they're like, well, who are you supposed to be? And I'm like, I'm just Gretchen. I'm just Mrs. Barron. And I want to show your child some love. And while I'm showing your child some love, there are services that we can provide to help you as well. And it's a hard place, but over a period of time, like
Right.
any relationship, it develops, and then we become like we have been since we've been out on COVID. They're like, they called about unemployment. They called about where can they get groceries,
Hmm.
just the small things. And these are the same families that initially cursed me out just for asking a question. But you don't throw them away. You just keep
Right.
loving them. You just keep
Yep.
loving because there's a child involved.
Right.
Well, you just go ahead,
Go ahead,
Small.
man. I'm sorry. You kind of disrupt the norm. You know what I'm saying? You came in there and said, you know what, this is not gonna go on like this. We
Mm.
have something to offer you if you just work with us. You know what I'm saying? And that's awesome. That's awesome.
Well, you just basically confirm, why you're in the public service. Have you ever been in a situation that you had to turn your back and cry, or drive home and cry because of a situation of a child that
Mm.
that you've seen, and maybe one day you say you have to make a change?
Yeah, and it's I can talk about in our office we have a I have and I literally it's been there probably about 5 years. The children were writing, they were learning how to write letters, and so they wrote letters to myself. They wrote a letter to me.
Hmm.
And the little girl told me, she said, I just want to thank you. And I'm not going to say it how she wrote it, but she said, I just want to thank you because of Barron Academy. We get to eat before we go home, and we
Wow.
don't have, I don't have food at home. That's one time. And, I'm just, every time I walk in that front office and I see that letter, I'm like, and I said, don't take it down because this is our why. Whether I get phone calls where, it's 6 o'clock and nobody's come pick up a child, and we can't find a parent, we can't find a grandparent. And then when they come, the situation that they're going home to, we have to step in. So to say, no, you can't take this baby home. One of my most memorable moments was a young student who she was living with her grandmother, and her mother did not want her, and the grandmother
Wow.
was just really overwhelmed because she just literally just left her.
Hmm.
And I just, before I knew it, I said, well, let her come home with me for the weekend. Well, and in the eye of education, that's a big no-no. But the great thing about me owning Barron Academy, I make up my own rules. So I'm like, no. I said, bring that baby home. Let me have her. And that became something that we did regularly, where her grandmother could get a break and she'd spend the weekend with me
Hmm.
and my family. And she was able to experience life at a different level because her grandmother, she was doing the best she could. She lived in the housing projects, and we were able to bring her to our home and expose her to other things and get her involved in things. And it breaks those types of situations. We see a lot. Whether it's a little girl that shows up to School. Now she's been in school all day, and nobody noticed that this little girl's got a hole in the front of her shoe, and her big toe is hanging out. And she comes to our program, and the site coordinator calls me and says, "Ms. Barron, this baby needs some shoes."
Wow.
So it's bigger. This is bigger than any after school program that you could ever be a part of, or any learning environment. So when I say I'm here to serve, this is just not about a political campaign. This is my life. This is my life. This is what I've been doing, and I'm just shifting gears a little bit. But those children are, they're everything to me.
Right.
Wow.
Let me ask you this. Your campaign, I know it's very grueling. Is it really a 7-day-a-week operation? Do you get a day off or an hour off?
You can take a day off, but I'm kind of a pit bull about certain things. And you carve out times because you still have to be human. And so you still need to make sure, my husband still needs to make sure that, he's number one. The boys need to make sure that they're number one. And then just that quiet time for yourself, because, when it was COVID, when campaigning during the pandemic, I spent a lot of time just meditating and praying, like, okay, God, give it to me, because I don't know where it is. I don't know how to touch people without touching people. But it's literally to do it right and to be impactful and intentional. If you're not posting something, you're doing a video. If you're not doing a video, you're on the phone banking. When you're not phone banking, you're on the side of the street waving signs. Because it's ongoing, and anyone that thinks that they can campaign and just put it on automatic pilot, you're not trusting the voters. You're not, it's almost taking them for granted. And it was people that would show up on our phone bank list, and I knew them personally. And I would still call and say, "Hey, this is Gretchen Barron, your candidate for Richland County Council." And they're like, "Girl, what you doing?" I was like, I need to get your vote. And so I still gave them the respect. Now, some people say that's a little team too much, but I didn't want to take that for granted. And it's a constant grind. And now, even now, we're dialed back some, but still making, putting the information out there, because that's one thing that our district has not had someone to disseminate information to them. Like just a few hours ago, Richland County passed a mask ordinance. So when I get off with y'all, then I'm going to put it out there so that people will know, starting Monday, you got to wear a mask in public in Richland County everywhere.
Right.
And it's just being a conduit of information and the right information.
Oh, yeah.
Because of what's going on right now, and you're in the public eye, so you have to have some etiquette in public. I'm sure you do. That goes with the job. So I'm going to ask a funny question. If someone see you eating at a restaurant, do you have to leave some food on your plate just to show that, that you're not greedy? Because people, like TMZ might, get you.
Right.
Say, "Oh, Miss Barron greedy. She eats all her peas." And
you got to leave a little bit on the plate and say, "Hey, look, I ain't like that now."
Yeah, right. So, wait a minute. Or you might drink a cup of tea with your pinky. Are they getting the real Miss Barron?
I am literally, what you see is what you get. So the funny thing, the reason why I laugh so hard about leaving something on your plate is I tell my husband all the time, I said, "Baby, you gotta leave something. You can't just, and granted, we might just be taking it. We might, have leftovers and we're putting it in the takeout box." I said, "Just leave a little something on the plate." My husband like, he's scraping it up. So I normally leave a little something on my plate anyway, just because I am not a picky drinker.
You definitely not that. You're not that.
I got good table manners, but I mean, you ain't worry about me shoveling food down either,
That's right.
I know how to act. But now we at the house, we just gonna have a good time.
All right.
Okay, good. Let's talk about the penny program. I read a little article about that.
Woo!
Could you enlighten us a little bit about that?
The penny program.
So I'll tell you about the penny tax program, and I want to tell you, I'm gonna stay real surface.
Okay.
All right.
And that is because they're still trying to dig through it
Hmm.
and find out. But as it states, it's over budget about $40 million, perhaps
Hmm.
even more. Um, how it got there, I'm not even going there. But what I
Hmm.
do believe is that we started out well, and we kind of lost focus. And
Hmm.
so as we move forward with looking at addressing the penny tax challenges,
Hmm.
I'm encouraging that we prioritize our program, our roads, because that's what it was designed for roads, and to upgrade them. And so I want us to prioritize those projects based upon the amount of funding that we actually have. You can't spend something you don't have. And
Hmm.
it's just my husband, he says it. He's like, I can want, I can want a Lamborghini, but if I don't have Lamborghini money, it just is not happening. That's just not being a good steward. And the
Yeah.
thing that people have to realize is that Richland County doesn't have any money. The money belongs to the people. We get the money from the people and we spend the people's money. That's how that works. And so if we have to shift our mindset to look at bringing small and minority businesses to the table so that they can bid on this work, because I'm a firm believer, if people who are working on these roads are invested in our communities and in our county, they don't want to ride over a pothole on hard scrabble road no more than I do. Why? Because that's their pathway home too, you
Hmm.
know. And so that's a push that I have. I'm really interested, and I've kind of dug through as much as I could with the Freedom of Information Act. So I'm excited to be able to get the full blown documents so that I can just look at it objectively and to see where things are, because I don't. If we have to pay back $40 million, I'm concerned of where this money's coming from, because I know
Right.
the people of
Right.
District 7, they can't afford that. And not only that, we're talking about people who have been home for 15, 16 weeks because of COVID, not working. The
Right.
last thing they need is another bill. That's the
Right.
last
Oh
Right.
yeah, definitely.
But I tell you what, you had me sold. I'll vote for you if I could, straight up. Yeah, hey, Smalls, guess what? I don't like nobody, but you got me. You had me sold.
Hey
You
man,
know.
I tell you, man, Richland County District 7, man, they got a winner. I'm trying to tell you. When she said here to serve, she explained everything what she mean by here to serve. And like I say, I'm behind you 100%. I love it.
I'm gonna throw this, little bit at you a little bit. And I'm gonna give you the ultimate compliment. Actually, we interviewed a professor. He's at Benedict College right now. Remember that, Smalls? And
Yeah,
we asked him the same question.
right.
Just think about it. I know you're gonna, put the sauce on the chicken 1 year at a time and all that, but just get a couple extra bottles of sauce and think about it down the road. Whatever political, capacity that you do want to go, I think you got it. I really do.
thing. Thank you
On
so
behalf
much.
on the behalf of the Let's Talk Under the Tree staff, what you think, Smalls? You think she got it?
Man, she been had it, man. And I've been knowing her. I mean, she's a blessing to our family, man. We welcome her with open arms, you know what I mean? And she has always been the same person you met tonight, man. Trust me. She is the perfect person for the job.
Yeah, she's down to earth. I was getting ready to ask for some fish and grits, while we at it. Yeah,
We've
yeah. I
had so
mean,
much fun Monday.
all right, yeah, yeah. You got it. We usually close out with a little prayer, and we love having you on here. Smalls, go ahead.
Lord, I thank you tonight. I thank you for having Miss Gretchen Barron on our show tonight. I wish her the best in her campaign as a councilwoman for District 7. I wish her everything. Just stand behind her and put the people in place to help her along as she goes. In the name of Jesus, amen.
Amen. He did pretty good because he's usually a long-winded Baptist preacher.
Yeah, they want me to cut it short, man, because I start preaching like the preacher in the pulpit. You know what I mean?
Come
Like,
on,
oh
I would have
Lord.
loved to have heard that one.
That first one, I was saying, "Oh, come on, man."
you know
If they start making noise, they pray longer.
you know how you be praying and you waiting for to eat the turkey at Thanksgiving. You be like, come on, man, I want to eat this turkey, man. I'm hungry.
Food getting cold.
Right.
Yeah. Well, we wish you much success, and like I said, you got what it takes. You have all the tools, and once you said your resume with those kids, that kind of touched home because I have a big heart for kids, and you got what it takes, and I know you're going to win. And on behalf of Let's Talk Under the Tree staff, congratulations,
Thank you.
A pre-congratulations, whatever's going to go down, and we love you, and thanks for coming, and that's all I got. What you got, Smalls? What you got,
Hey,
man?
All I say is, man, don't be a stranger. You welcome to come back anytime you like.
Right.
I'm gonna come sit up under the tree.
Yeah.
Maybe we can get Dad to sit up underneath the tree.
Oh,
That's
yeah,
right.
that'd be nice. That'd be nice.
We can get him and have him talk about finances.
Oh,
He'll
yeah.
stay on there all day.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
But y'all have a good day. I'm Mr. Palmer T. Smalls and Miss Barron, South Carolina. I'm from the 843. I don't know what your area code, Smalls. You say so many.
803.
Oh,
803 and 803.
Last week you said 912. I don't know what. I mean, he gets confused at times, but we'll let that.
Come on, man. Come on, man.
Yeah. But y'all have a good night, and we out. All right. All right.